What's up, guys? I just wanted to say that there's another segment of this this special video for rarities I've been talking about recently. I know it's not a lot of things you get into when you see these videos coming out, and I know it's not always suitable for anybody who watch space videos like I do. I understand some people aren't always interested, but hear me out. When I was a baby, 6 months old in 1996, my mum was in Florida, and she was watching this space shuttle. I think I'm rightly saying so. They were in a boat, or just on a big boat, and they watched the launch from distance. Which, in all fairness, normally launches are about 2 miles away from people. So basically, they have like a 2-mile radius for people to watch launches in that particular order. So if there's a problem, they have to halt. They have to stop the whole launch and detank them before they take off, or before they, before they do anything else with the rocket. So detanking is basically they just take all the fluids, like the oxygen, like liquid oxygen and the nitrogen, all that stuff. They have to stop all that. But then the clever bit about this is that they use different techniques to get these launches to happen. So currently with SpaceX, that's now the new commercial space flight, which I think that's perfect, really. But they say in the future that we might get more technology when we colonize to do new different worlds, which I think that's, in my opinion, I think that's true. When we start getting more settlements onto the planet, on Mars, and get more settlements on the moon, we'll get more deposits, more materials, and then we'll start doing all that stuff. But obviously, there is a law, like an international space law. I'm not even joking when I say this. They can't claim the materials for a nation, because obviously this is an international body of humanity living together, and I don't want to fight over these things. So obviously, if we have a fighting, like if we fought over resources in space, that would be a constant problem. So, fair play to the people in the 1970s and 60s and even 80s to stop the fighting from beginning, because there was an eager chance that that was actually going to happen. But this is not the reason why I'm doing this video. The video to here today is here because I got to see a rocket take off in 1996, and that was 6 months after my birth. So think on that, how special that is to me. I know it sounds rubbish when I say that. I know that is. And by the way, I was filming that, so there is a fish video coming out, but I've got some updates I need to talk about. But I'll talk about that in later videos. But yeah, so there's a lot of things happening, obviously, in spaceflight nowadays. But as I say, back in the day, that wasn't a thing. They had to do a lot of more different things. And I was watching the space flight with other technologies and all that stuff from the 90s, like the mid-90s. And since I was a 90s kid, and since I'm a 90s kid who was born in the 1996 era, or you know what I mean, like in that part of the year, I had to learn all this years later. And my granddad filmed it on his phone, and surprisingly enough, I got to see this incredible rocket take off. And I looked into this mission a little bit more recently, And oh my word, I am not gonna lie guys, this is far more better than I actually expected. This launch and the mission itself was absolutely incredible. So I'm going to start off by segment, and I hope you guys enjoy all these episodes that come out. Please give this video support, because you know, this is how I got into space missions and how I got into it as an interest, and this is why I post videos on my YouTube channel, because of that reason. I'd like you to be introduced to the STS-80 space mission. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. And here we go.
Here in firing room 3 of the Launch Control Center, all of our activities continue to go smoothly. The final inspection team is on the pad. This is shuttle launch control at T-minus 3 hours in holding, where we're in the suit-up room, and we see our commander, Ken Cockrell, in his suit-up activities today. Ken originally from Austin, Texas. And our pilot, Kent Rominger. Originally from California, and STS-80 is his second space shuttle flight. Mission specialist Dr. Tammy Jernigan will be one of our EVA astronauts on this mission. And she will also be the primary astronaut taking the lead in the Orpheus Spas activities during the 2 weeks it will be in space. And going across the room, there is mission specialist Tom Jones. He'll be our flight engineer on this mission, and he will take the lead in operating the remote manipulator system, mechanical arm. All of our suit-up activities are going smoothly and on time without any problems, leading toward their walkout in about another 15 minutes. And there is Story Musgrave, making his 6th flight into space, tying the record along with veteran astronaut John Young. He will be the lead astronaut associated with the Wake Shield facility activities on this flight, and will providing EVA support while Tom Jones and Tammy Jernigan are out in the payload bay. And again, our commander, Ken Cockrell. This will be his 3rd space shuttle flight. Having flown on STS-56 and STS-69, he's logged over 20 days in space so far. And our pilot once again, Kent Rominger. He spent more than 15 days in space. This is his 2nd flight. Having flown before on STS-73. There's Tammy Jernigan. This is shuttle launch control at T-minus 2 hours, 55 minutes, 25 seconds and counting. Here we see the STS-80 astronauts leaving the crew quarters en route to the elevator to ride down from the third to the first floor to ride the astronaut van out to pad 39B. About a 20-minute ride out to the pad. We expect they'll arrive out there shortly after noon. Also the chief of the astronaut office, Dave Leesma, in the elevator with them. There's Tom Jones and Tammy Jernigan waving to us. And there are members of the press, members of the payload test team, and other well-wishers greeting the crew when they come out the elevator on the first floor of the operations and checkout building, where the astronaut quarters are located. And here they come. Crew now boarding the astronaut van for the very short leg of their 16-day mission. And once they arrive out at the launch pad, they'll ride up the elevator to the orbiter access arm, where one at a time they will enter the white room to be assisted with their helmets and entering the flight deck, where support astronaut Mike Anderson is awaiting to help them with their flight suits and into their seats and with their communications gear. There they go. Beautiful Florida fall day. And here we see the astronaut van now approaching the ramp at the launch pad with Space Shuttle Columbia. And we'll ride the elevator up to the orbiter access arm and one at a time begin boarding Columbia, where in parallel preparations continue to get Columbia ready for its ascent, which take overall about 40 minutes or so until it's actually in its final circular orbit of 219 statute miles. Very shortly we'll be loading the orbiter's computers with the proper ascent profile, which depends on the upper level winds at the time of launch. These are called I-loads, and they tell the vehicle what angle of attack to use at various times during the ascent and at various speeds. We see our commander Ken Cockrell in the white room, being helped by the suit technicians prepare for entry into the crew module. This is shuttle launch control at T-minus 2 hours, 13 minutes, 37 seconds and counting. We're in the picture now. We see pilot Kent Rominger waiting to board and mission specialist Dr. Tammy Jernigan about to be assisted with her launch and entry suit. She will be one of the two astronauts, along with Tom Jones, that will be doing an EVA on this flight, designed to evaluate equipment and procedures for building the International Space Station.
And St. QC, that's 555 and 556 are complete. Copy.
And on the second EVA, the spacewalkers will evaluate EVA tethers. Story Musgrave now going into the crew module. This is shuttle launch control at T-minus 7 minutes, 35 seconds and counting. Preparing now to retract the orbiter access arm, which can be put back into position very quickly if there be a problem. This is the main engine helium purge sequence, which prepares the engines for main engine start. The main engine's now being gimbaled as a steering check for Columbia. Beanie cap, the gaseous oxygen vent hood now being retracted.
Memory cleared. No unexpected errors. OTC copies. And Columbia OTC, close and lock your visors, initiate O2 flow, and enjoy a weightless Thanksgiving. Yeah, let's just go for ET.
We sure appreciate all your work for this flow and this morning, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
I did that.
Explosion of liquid hydrogen now terminated, and the hydrogen tank is pressurized.
One minute, 30 seconds.
Sound suppression water system now being armed. Solid rocket booster joint heater is now being turned off. Final check of booster commands. Locks and LH2 fill and vane valves are closed.
At this time.
Recommend continue, sir. Copy that. NTD, you're clear. Copy that. GLS entity. Pick up count on your mark. GLS copy. I'll resume on my mark. 3, 2, 1, mark. GLS scope or auto sequence start. 25.
Solid rocket booster hydraulic power units have started. Set suppression water system armed. Main safety systems armed. 10, 9, 8. Ignition sequence start. 7, 6. 3 main engines up and burning. 2, 1. And liftoff of Space Shuttle Columbia on a diversified mission of astronomy and commercial space research.
Houston, Columbia, roll program.
Roger, roll, Columbia.
Houston is now controlling. The roll maneuver is complete. Columbia is in a heads-down, wings-level position, headed to its 190 nautical mile orbit. Seconds into the flight, Columbia's engines are now beginning to throttle down to 67% of rated thrust as the orbiter passes through the area of maximum aerodynamic pressure on the vehicle in the lower regions of the Earth's atmosphere.
Columbia, Houston, go at throttle up.
Roger, go at throttle up.
Columbia's 3 liquid-fueled engines are now back at full throttle, 104% of rated thrust. Columbia now traveling 1,800 miles per hour, 15 miles in altitude, downrange from the Kennedy Space Center, 13 miles. All 3 main engines continuing to perform well. The next event will be the burnout and separation of Columbia's twin solid rocket boosters.
Columbia, Houston, performance nominal.
Roger, performance nominal.
2 minutes, 18 seconds into the flight, the booster officer has confirmed good separation of the solid rocket boosters, and performance on board Columbia has been as expected. All 3 main engines are continuing to perform at 104% of rated thrust. The 3 auxiliary power units and fuel cells are also continuing to perform as expected. Columbia now downrange from the Kennedy Space Center at a distance of 55 miles, an altitude of 42 miles, traveling 3,290 miles per hour.